and we've been discussing the ins and outs of Sri Lankan cricket here on Good Morning Sri Lanka this morning, and it's been a very interesting discussion with Mr. Suresh Murugesan as well as Mr. Chandra Shafter, and they've been sharing stories on their experiences and their thoughts that they've collected over so many years of being involved in Sri Lankan cricket. And I think that I've got to know so many little details and nuggets of information that I also didn't know. The fact that so many of the Sri Lanka players have come out of the Tamil Union Cricket Club. But let's talk about the future plans for the club now. I mean, I'm sure that there are certain targets that you want to achieve in the future as well.
Mr. Shafter as president.
Well, we want to take our cricket forward, definitely. We have to, the honest fact is we haven't made too many plans because finance is always a constraint.
Of course.
The Sri Lanka cricket helps us, but only partially. The rest of it you have to raise through public donations or donations from friends, and that's not always easy. So that is always a constraint to our improving our cricket. We need an indoor cricket cricket wicket or stadium. We need more practice wickets and better facilities in those areas. But in the long term, we must be able to attract good players and keep them with us. So all this needs money. And I think Suresh will tell you how he hopes to find the money.
He just passed the ball to you, Suresh.
He must have been a good hockey player, right?
Oh yes, definitely. I can see where the talent comes from. No, but it's true. I mean, you've been sort of involved with the pulse of the game at the Tamil Union Cricket Club.
It's been a real challenge, actually. Frankly, it's been a real challenge over the past few years to keep cricket going, because cricket is a very expensive game to run. We've got 3 tournaments that we take part in. The Under-23 tournament, which is a 3-day tournament. The Premier League, which is a limited over tournament, and then followed by a 3 to 4 day tournament as well. So, so it's a lot of expenditure that goes into it. We start practicing about maybe a month and a half to 2 months out.
Okay.
So we've got to keep the infrastructure going, and we've got a team to manage that in addition to our cricket committee. So we are always on the lookout for sponsors, corporate sponsors who can get their branding on the clothing and all that sort of stuff, and we actively go out looking for sponsors. So year to year that could change, because we need quite a substantial sum of money to run cricket every year.
Alright,
Yeah.
but now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that cricket was maybe arguably the most popular game in Sri Lanka right now. So I would think that a lot of sponsors would be more than happy to come forward, but it's not the case.
So, because sponsors look at it from a commercial point of view.
Okay.
How much do they get back in terms of advertising and goodwill? Cricket is certainly the most popular, the most expensive, and but the one with the least finances to keep it going.
Alright, and there's also mercantile cricket that we can speak of. So is the Tamil Union involved in that sphere as well?
No.
Not okay.
That is basically
firms
between the companies.
In their case, the companies or the sports clubs fund their sports, so they don't have, not that they don't have money. They have enough money to run the sports the way the company decides they should run it, so that they don't have too much of a problem. The mercantile firms.
I see. But at the end of the day, I guess, as you mentioned earlier, Mr. Shakti, rupees and cents do matter. So it's very important for corporate sponsors to come forward and sponsor this type of game, because it is actually sponsoring youngsters who will go on to do great things for the country, and it's important to give back to the country as well. But I think that both of you would have learned many life lessons when it comes to the sort of involvement that you've had with cricket. So maybe we can, sort of share on Good Morning Sri Lanka the things that you've gained out of cricket as a sport and maybe as a way of life even for some time. Mr. Murugesan, you mentioned that you were there at the Oval since you were a toddler.
Yes.
So I'm sure life lessons is literally the entire life you've been gaining lessons.
Yeah, it's been a great run, and I was living in Australia for quite a few years as well. So so when I came back, it was like coming home to the club.
Okay.
And then I got involved in the cricket. I was very fortunate. And so here I am, basically. But yes, it's been very much part of my life, and we've been through a lot of strife. I think even in 1983, the majority of the club got burnt down, and we had to rebuild it from scratch, and we somehow found the funding for it. Another thing I'd like to point out now is that although the name is Tamil Union, we have many members from all ethnicities and religions, and so there's no such sort of exclusivity anymore.
Okay.
So we welcome any new members, and
and that's important
that will help us to keep the coffers going.
Okay, then what about you, Mr. Shaft? Now you've been playing for the Union from your teens, I guess, and it's been a long journey, hasn't it?
It's a long journey, nearly 65 years now.
So what are the things that you believe you would never have got in life if not for the involvement you had with cricket?
Well, I think, to be honest, a lot of what I have benefited is by having played cricket and by having been a member of the Tamil Union. As I was telling Suresh before you started, people like his father, Satyakumarasamy, quite a few others helped me quite a bit to get along in life. And the fact that you are a cricketer, if you do well, then people take notice of you in this country. Even before we reached test status, if you did well at club cricket, people took notice of you. It was easy to get jobs. You had access to people much more if you were a cricketer, because that is the best way to become known in this country. So cricket has certainly done a great deal for me personally. I think I owe it quite a lot, and one can only hope that I have been able to pass on the lessons I have learnt from this game to those who follow.
Of course, and it's very important to have a mentor, isn't it, when you start out in the game? And what would the importance that you would give to a mentor be?
Well, I mean, it all depends on who the mentor is. I think we are very fortunate in the fact that we have so many Sri Lankan players in our dressing room, and the fact that the youngsters can sort of find out how to bowl a particular ball or play a particular stroke or whatever it is, and they're getting first-hand training from probably the best exponent of those things. So it is, and also another thing about mentoring is, I think, development of the person's character, right, and his mentality. And there again, that's where these senior players can help a lot.
Of course.
And we encourage that a lot in our club.
So it's very important for players to come back and to help out the youngsters as well, and I'm sure a lot of players are doing that actually, as you mentioned earlier.
At the Tamil Union they do.
Okay. So that's something, a tradition that's inculcated by the club itself, is it? So again, something very important. But now we've spoken about your opinion on the future of the club, but what about the future of Sri Lankan cricket as a whole? Now we have a national team that's doing quite well actually, a lot of players who are getting a lot of international attention as well, for all the right reasons. So I'm sure that there are good importance for the future, isn't it?
Yes, certainly at this point of time we have done very well, and I think we have been taken more notice of than we have been recently. I think we can do even better and go forward. The only thing, of course, is that Mahela and Sangakkara, Dilshan are not going to be there for all that much longer, and they will have to wake up and find suitable replacements. It's difficult to find replacements in the literal sense of the word, but you'll have to find some players who are at least somewhere around there, because otherwise we will be in serious trouble.
Of course, but I think that when Arjuna Ranatunga and Aravinda De Silva and players of that caliber left, we always wondered who would replace them, but there were greats coming up as well, so maybe there are hidden gems in our team now as well.
There are several people coming through the ranks. Some of them have not yet hit the Sri Lanka team, so I don't think that should really be a worry. It's a question of how much exposure they get at the international level to give them that experience, and that cricket is really a mental game more than anything else, and So the more you play at that top level, the more you become sort of attuned to it and know how to surmount all the challenges.
So I think that these gentlemen have been proving today that the more you give to the game, the more you will get out of the game as well, and it really is a win-win situation for the players as well as anyone who is involved in cricket here in Sri Lanka, because it is a sport that will and can go a very long way in this country. So thank you so much, Mr. Murugesan as well as Mr. Shafter, for being with us on the show this morning. It's been a pleasure to have you.
It's been a great pleasure, Amaya.
Thank you very much. And with that, I hope that all of you had a very enjoyable show this morning. I think it was full of a lot of facts and a lot of fun as well. And of course, for cricket fans out there, which I think is basically all the viewers, it's great news to hear as well that Sri Lanka cricket is in good hands in clubs of this nature. So with that, we're going to wrap up for this morning's edition of Good Morning Sri Lanka. But we'll see you tomorrow as well with another great show. Till then, take care. Have a great day.